Hello, everyone. I want to take the time today and discuss a topic that explains fundamentally how I view life and the interactions therein. And with that, I hope you may be able to take some of what I say and associate it with how you handle your life's adventure. First and foremost, I want to address the idea of the phrase or word two-faced. Two-faced meaning that you are one person some of the time and the opposite behind closed doors, or away from the person usually using the word. The idea being that someone who is two-faced is usually nice to someone in person but talks shit behind their back to someone else. Another phrase that I want to touch on is the idea of wearing multiple hats, being that the person who is capable of wearing multiple hats has many skills and can take on a number of roles potentially asked of them. I have taken the ideas expressed mostly by these two quotes and based on certain interactions and created the idea of someone who can wear many masks. Before you jump on the idea of a masked man coming from an anonymous person on the internet, let me explain what it is I mean. When you interact with your lifelong friends, you could say you're more relaxed, at times unapologetic, perhaps extremely blunt, or perhaps very crass. This is not the same mask you would put on for, say, an employer, as he controls your living wages and in turn your lifestyle. You put on a more respectful, perhaps brown-nosed and ambitious personality in order to make him think the most of you and keep you around should things go poorly within a company. These are two examples of two opposite approaches to an interaction that most people do/perform every day. But an important thing to note here in this explanation is that you are not lying when you are putting on these masks. You are not faking who you are as a person. Many people have this sentiment that if you change your personality based on the person you are around, you are a fake person. Your intentions, your friendship, whatever the context might be, is faked. This is not necessarily the case when considering the sheer amount of emotion you can feel at any given moment. I mean, really ask yourself, is there a person that you are unabashedly yourself towards? Maybe it is your spouse. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe your parents? Let's say, for argument's sake, you are completely yourself to your friends. Are you the same person when you need them to help you with something? Something serious? Like something you know you can't handle on your own? Are you the exact same when you ask for help? Or perhaps you put on a quieter voice, a more humble approach, maybe even saying they don't have to help you if it causes too much of a burden, dismissive of your own problems. That is a mask. Masks over the course of human history have been used to represent a variety of different things, from human emotion to animals to deities to characters playing other characters on stage. Is it so strange to think that even who you are is a collection of many masks, many personalities? Some people whom I've expressed this toward earlier on in my life were unsure of its application, but could concede, especially with the job example, that a person does put on many masks. Some are put on reluctantly, some are put on joyfully. The range of human emotion and conditions one may feel can attribute to the personality you display outwardly to the world and those inside it. In doing so, some may call you fake. Simply, they do not understand. I mean, a mask is intentionally deceptive if you really think about it, but it's not deceptive for who you are. So, a fake friend mask would have all the characteristics that would be considered a two-faced individual. The reasons I have processed things in this way is because, at a long time ago, I was an actor. School shows and some voice acting. To express a character, you would have to pull on different emotions at different times, perhaps in ways you've never done in your real life. But you were expected to put it on as a character who just watched a best friend die, or simply an overly enthusiastic extra. At the heart of most acting, you are pulling from some primal emotion you have felt and put it out again. This comes specifically out on moments where actors must cry on command. Some people are able to fake cry. Others, however, need to dig into a moment where they lost control, or they lost a loved one, or when they felt so frustrated that they couldn't do anything but cry. And then that is what you see performed on stage. A mask would ordinarily play the part of showing tears. It is not the person underneath who is feeling pain, but rather the character being portrayed. Now, for a more dark moment, based in things I was just mentioning, when one of my lifelong childhood friends and I were younger, about 17, his mom got very, very sick, with stage 4 cancer. She went from walking upright to in a wheelchair for maybe 2 to 3 months, and then she succumbed to the disease. It was heartbreaking as I knew this woman throughout my entire childhood, but what was even more painful was going to the service and watching my friend stay stoic and strong for his sister, who was, frankly, inconsolable. He stood there like a rock, but I knew in his mind and heart he was broken. But he knew he needed to be that way for his sister. She needed someone to ground her, to keep her from despair. So he put off the pain for a while. That is, until a retreat we both went on for a student ambassador program, in which the summer before was rescheduled. At that time, our parents were asked to write us letters. So my friend got a letter from his mother 2 months after she had passed away. And I watched him cry. At no point do I believe he faked any of these emotions. At no point do I believe that when he was being the rock for his family that I think he was faking it. He cares about his family, so that love was what gave him the strength to hold that important role. And when no one but I was around, his family wasn't in need of his strength. He was able to release the pain he chose not to feel earlier. He did not put on the mask of grief because he needed to pose as a strong figure. Then, when no one but friends were there, he donned the mask of grief. Both of those personalities were still him. He is both, grieving and grounding rock for others. This story is not necessarily meant to make you upset, but to make you understand that the idea of someone wearing a mask is not predicated on the idea that someone necessarily exists underneath the mask. But we were always wearing a mask, even by ourselves. Even your personal normalcy, your you personality, that is still a mask. Frankly, we don't have an ability to pull off all the masks. That's simply not possible, as we are human. But this resonates a lot with people with some mental disorders. The idea of separation of emotion allows it to be easier understood. And perhaps maybe you can ask yourself, what mask do you wear? But that's all I have for this video. I thank you all for joining me for this conversation, and I hope to see you all soon.